So to start off, if you've seen the instructions, we're just gonna follow along the same way. So we're gonna start off with a lark's head knot. So basically you take your really long 10 pieces cording. You can see this one here, fold it a few times so you can see. You wanna make sure it's as even as it can be, fold it in half. Don't have to be exactly perfect, but just as even as you can make it. I like to start in the middle of my dowel, but you can start at an end and push them down to even it out if you'd like. So take the loop on one side, put it behind, and take the ends and you feed them through. Make sure, keep the dowel in the middle, and just tighten it up. It's a lark's head knot. Just move on to the next one. So it doesn't matter which way you go when you're putting them on. You just want to keep them going in the same direction. By that, I mean that these loops end up right here. So they're right next to each other. All right, I'm just going to continue on with the rest of them. Okay, making sure they're lined up and even. You want these to be right next to each other, but they don't need to be as tight as you can make it. Just as tight as you want them. So with the shorter string you received in your kit, this was used to tie the other ones up with, you can attach it now or you can wait. This you just attach to the sides here and just do a regular knot around it. Later on, you can add a little bit of glue to make sure this is nice and sturdy and trim off the excess. You can also not have that at all if you prefer to hang it up just from the dowel. Right. This part, you'll need to make a decision whether you want the front of the macrame to be this side here, which is opposite the loops you made, or if you want these loops to show. I've seen many different macrames. They do them both ways. There's usually someone has their own preference. You just need to decide which way you want it to face before you start doing the rest of the knots. All right, so here's where we recommended that you had a book or anything else heavy. Right now, I'm actually gonna just stick it right underneath my laptop here. It doesn't need to be anything crazy heavy. This just helps to keep the top of it steady in place. Because as you're doing the knots, especially on the sides, if it's not underneath something, you're gonna tend to pull it in one direction or the other, which is gonna make it uneven. Okay. Any questions yet? So this point, we're gonna start with a square knot. Some people also call it a reef knot. We're gonna do this in sets of 4. You see this perfect 5 sets of 4. So I'm gonna start with the first one and put these aside. Take rightmost and leftmost chord and put them on the sides. As you can see, when you go along, there is a natural order that the chords are in, and you want to try to keep them in that order because it's going to make the finished product look a bit neater. So I always start with the left. You should say you make a 4, which here looks backwards. Take it over, loop, and cross on top of the 2 middle chords. Then take your rightmost chord, I have here. I just place that chord over top of the tail of the leftmost. Take it, loop it behind the 2 center chords, and then up through the loop we just made with the left chord. So if you can see here, you can see the chords, how they loop around each other. Right over the 2 center chords. So for me, I tend to use my thumb to just hold those 2 center chords steady as I pull the ends so the knot comes up to the top. That's the first part of the square knot. To finish the square knot, we're going to do the same process. We're just going to flip it. So the left chord went on top for the first one, so now it's going to go behind. And the right chord is going to go on top rather than behind it. Again, just pull the ends and tighten. Right there. I'll take it out real quick. Real close to the camera. That is the square knot. You can see it kind of makes a little bit of a square. That is one square knot. So you can tighten it and adjust it. I don't recommend trying to pull it too tight, but you want to get it in shape there. So now we're going to move on. We're going to do another one. We're going to do a row of 5 with all the chords. So we put these 4 aside and take the next 4. So now we did our first row. It's a good time to take a look at it. You can take it out, see if it's even. You like the look. You might want to make sure that they're the same tightness right across. The bottom lines up pretty evenly. Put it back underneath. If you like the way it looks, you can move on to the next one. If you ever feel like you don't like it or you messed up, you can unpick these. I'd be gentle with it. Make sure you don't uncoil the cords too much. But yeah, you can feel free to unpick them as you go. If you want to try again. So for this row, we're going to start to decrease the number of knots. So we're going to take the 2 rightmost chords and put them all the way to the side so we don't use them. And the 2 leftmost chords all the way to the side, so out of the way. Now we're going to divide it up by 4s again. So here's where you want to take a look at the top and see where they lay out. So here, you can see it too well, but these two chords want to overlap because they're right next to each other. They're actually supposed to be this order. And that can happen again here. So you both want to make sure you're grabbing the correct chord in the proper sequence when you're making your next set of square knots. These over here a little bit. And do the same process.
This particular design really only uses, aside from the initial knot to put them on the dowel, really only uses 2 forms of knots. And quite a few macrames really utilize this square knot pretty heavily. One reverse, so we're going under. The right is going over and through the left side. So you get to finish this way. Side and move on to the next one. Might be helpful to pull them out one at a time. Make sure you're going in order. 4. It goes under the right chord. And it goes under the center chord and up through the left. And reverse it. Move on to the next. You're going to make sure they're in the right order. Use 4. And then behind and through the left edges. Use 4 times. And again, just reverse it to finish the knot. Move over. And 4 times. This row is some of the last set of square knots. 4. Under and through. Nice and tight. Reverse it. Under. And through.
Yeah, I'm just going to tighten this row. We're not going to move on to the next one yet. So yeah, as the more you do it, the faster making these knots become. It becomes kind of like second nature. So here, I'm just tightening up my row. You can start to see it come together. There you go. Anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them. So I'm not going to start it just yet, but we're going to follow the same pattern. So in the next row, we're going to take away 2 more chords from the left, and 2 more chords from the right. Backwards and forwards. So here we're going to do the same process for the 3rd row. It's going to be a little different. So instead of 4 knots, the 3rd row will have 3. It's the same square knot.
Take the 4. And make the right cord. Right cord will under the center and up to the loop on the left. Just 4. And pull these 2, keep them straight. And then pull these up. Right to the bottom of the row. And reverse it, so the left goes underneath the center chord this time. The tail comes up. And put the right chord under. And over the center chords through the left side loop. Take the chords and pull it up. Hold down the center. And just tighten. And keep tight. And put that aside. On to the next 4. Make it 4. Take the right one. Put it behind. Up through the loop. And pull it. Keep the center straight. Pull it up. You can do it in sections if you wish. You don't have to do it all at once. Bring it up. Take it one step at a time. Underneath. And that one. Put it over. And down. And straighten it. Take it out in sections. Put it up here. Put it in the loop. This one to be a bit tighter. Look at the side. Take this one. You try to go nice and slow, but feel free to ask me to repeat something or stop if you need to. And make it 4. The right cord goes under the center and up through that loop. One tight. And then pull one up. And then that goes under. The right goes over to the loop. And just pull tight.
So that is the third row. So I'm going to show the fourth row, which is the same process. I remove 2 from the left, 2 from the right. I'm doing the square knot. The right cord. Over. And just tighten it up. This one. Make it 4. Take the right cord. Go under the center cords, up through the loop. And pull it tight. And then reverse. The left goes under. And the right goes over and through the loop. And you tighten it. So I'm keeping mine nice and tight. That's the way I want it to be. Now, move 2 from the left, 2 from the right. And this is the final row that I'm making here. Goes over, the right goes under. Now goes under, the right goes over and through. Just pull it tight. Okay. Once you finish this part, you'll get the shape of a triangle, an upside down triangle. But there you go. Maybe there. Next thing I want to show you is a different kind of knot. For this one, you're going to take the 2 different whole halves, do one side and then the other. So for the next part, where we're going to make the diagonal clove hitch knots, you divide it in half, right down the middle, feel a natural point. Take the right half. They should be even on both sides. And set it aside. We're going to start with the left. So on the left, you take this top cord here and you lie it across all the other ones on the left. This is what we're going to use to knot all the way down. We'll make sure that the cords are lying nice and flat so you can take them one at a time. So we're going to start with this one, the next top one here. This one over it. Going to bring it up. So it's going over the cord here, through the loop. See, it's going up, behind, and I'm just going to pull this. I'm just going to pull it up here. And that's not. It's really very simple. You take your time, go slow, and do it one more time with this cord. Just tighten. Not too much, just enough so they're next to each other. And you do the same process with each cord here on the left. You do that knot twice. So over the filler cord, through, just pull it closed. One more time, over the filler cord, through the center. And take your time on this. You don't need to pull it super tight. Just follow along that natural slope you made with the square knots. Once, twice, for each of these left cords. Make sure it's the tightest you want. Move on to the next one. Up and through. Up and through. Move on to the next. Through, and pull tight. Next cord up, through, and through. This is not really, just take each cord and wrap it around the filler cord, so the one we pulled across. And over. And over. So that's one on the left. Up, through. Make sure your filler cord is nice and straight. Up and through. Also cord down. Make sure the left stays off to the side. And see how that kind of just draws a line straight down. So you're going to do the same with the right side, do the same process. Top one being the filler cord and wrap around it. I'm going to start on the right. Feel free to stop me if you have any questions. I'm going to take the top cord here, lay it across as the filler cord, and go in order straight down. Doing 2 stitches. Over and through. Over and through.
Just adjust some looks like you want to be. Over and through. This one. Once. And twice. You can pull it kind of angles there. So you want to do something. Hold it steady. And 2. And twice. Once. And twice. This is tight there. Once. And twice. That's on the right. Once. And twice.
So we have 2 sides. We're just going to meet them in the middle. So these 2 cords, which were the filler cords on either side, you're going to do the same knot. You just need to choose if you want the left side to knot over the right or the right side to knot over the left. There's no right or wrong answer. It's however you choose to go. If you're used to it, you're just doing a lot of rights. It might be easiest to just continue. Just pull it closed. Just want to make sure you meet up right there. And now you have your point. I'm going to show you how to do a few more of the square knots to complete a different shape. Give you a few tips on that. Again, feel free to stop me if you have any questions. I'm just going to try to move along a bit. For the second half, once you get here, you're going to do the reverse of what we did up here. So we're going to start with 1 square knot with the 4 center cords. And we're going to add for each row. 2 on the left, 2 on the right. So the second row here, we'll have 2 square knots. The third will have 3. Fourth will have 4. Fifth will have 5. So you do the same process. The 4. Take the right, go under and through and pull it tight. So here, you can decide to bring it all the way up to the top, which is what I'm going to do. Or you can start to distance them. To do that, you just stop pulling And you want to try to keep the space in mind so it stays there. So make sure that the next part, the finish off the square knot, you don't pull it up all the way. For this design, I am going to pull it up all the way. Finish off the knot, going in reverse. And pulling it tight. So now we do the second row down here. And now 2 from the left and 2 from the right. And split it, this one right down the middle. So you have 2 sets of 4. Put this one up a little bit so I can pull this one straight. So for here, you're going to do the same process before. Take the right under and through. But when you tighten it, you just want to be careful. Go nice and slow. And take a look. See if you like where it lands. You want to make sure it lands just underneath your center knot that you just made up on the top. But because we're leaving a gap here, pull too tight, it could end up going lopsided. You just loosen it up. Make sure it lies right where you want it to. And finish the knot going under on the left side or on the right. You gotta make sure you're very careful when you tighten it and only tighten it up to the point you want. Finishing the knot is going to secure the length. And same for the right side. Side over center, right side under and through. Sure, center cord tight. You only pull it up to the point you want. You can stop and take a look. Having already done the left side, you can help use that as a gauge. So they're even. And under on the left side, over on the right. And pull it tight. Look, see if you like it, see if they line up well. There's enough gap up here. So you like how it looks. So the next one down, you're going to add 2 from the left and 2 from the right. So here, as opposed to what we did up here, always starting from the left and going to the right, once you get to the 3rd row for this section, I recommend starting in the middle. So you'll divide it up. 4 chords for one set, 4 chords for the right set, and 4 in the middle. Because you have these 3 knots here, you have a natural stopping point for this center knot. So it's going to make it a lot easier to make this one.
Because you have these 3 knots here, you have a natural stopping point for this center knot. So it's going to make it a lot easier to make this one. And then over, and form it tight. It just stops right where it was above it was. Now this way, when you move to the left and you move to the right, these knots, you just bring it up to line up with this one, right here in the center. If not, you kind of run into the same problem and pull too tight up on one side. This gives you a natural point of where to line up your knots. And just finishing off here. Alright. Okay. one right next to it. Go under. And it goes over. And you have two knots right next to each other. This is not too high or too low. You can do the left side. Open. Right cord goes under and through. Just pull them up. And then just line up the center. And it goes under. And it goes over. Pull it onto the top.
Check it. Make sure they're even. Unpick them and redo them if you need to. Adjust it up a little bit. When you're ready, move on to the next row. 2 down from the left, 2 down from the right. And again, for these, I'm going to start in the middle. I'm going to make sure I'm starting with the right chord, so break them up in sets of 4. There's 4, 4, and 4. So this row has 4 square knots going across, so there's 2 centers. You can start with either one you want.
And then do the right side first. Then go over, center, the right goes under, point, finish it, the left goes under, the right goes over, and then you pull tight. And line up what I just did, nice and even. The left goes under, right goes over, and just finish off. Nice and even. And come over into all the tape and chords. So go in right order. Left. And from this, little hand. Finish it, the left goes under, the right goes over. You can see here, chords, and then unpick this one. Very easy to get them to stop, so just take your time. And go down. Goes over, right goes under. Reverse. Same concept, make sure these are nice and tight. Make sure it lines up really well, the one right next to it. And finish it off. Nice and tight.
With this one, and the last 2 on the left down, last 2 on the right down, and the original sets of 4. Then I'm going to start in the middle to make sure it's nice and even.
Nice and tight. And reverse. And to the right. And over. The same square knot, just repeating all the way down. Over. Under. Bring it up, make sure this way you have a loose one just into. Lines up, one next to it. And finish it off by going reverse, left under, right over, and then tighten it. And down. Last 2 for this row. Over, right under, nice and tight. Left under, right over, and just tighten it. This is the last square knot on the side. Over, right under and through, and keep that straight, hold up. Finish it by going left under, right over,
There we go. And check it, make sure they're all even or as even as you'd like them to be. Pull them up if you need to. And now this will mirror what we just made up here. So as you can see, the cords start to get shorter and shorter the more you knot them. Some people like a really long piece to hang down. So if you want, again, you can stop here. Any point you like the way it looks, you can stop. If you want it longer, if you want this shorter, you can keep going. The example we used repeated the same process up here. So we did the rows, straight down to one, square knot in the center, and then the same stitch here, the diagonal clove hitch knot, to finish it off. So for this, I'm just gonna finish this up so I can keep it moving. Now you can either do a full row of 5 or start taking them away again. On the example ones, as you can see here, start the same at the top. I did a second row of 5. That's what gives you this thickness here. For this one, I am going to skip that row. I want to be a little tighter. So I'm going to pull the left 2 and the right 2 on the far ends up and off to the side. Now this way you can just go left to right because you have a nice line here. You take the 4 cords and finish off your square knots. Next row, take 2 away from the left, 2 away from the right, same as we did up top. And then do these. Away. And do 2. Final knot here, right in the middle. Left is over, right is under, and nice and tight. Left, right, and there you go. So now we have a triangle and a diamond. So you can do this whatever way you want. If you want to switch up the patterns, this stitch will give you a lot of different shapes. Just got to plan it out. And as you can see, some of the chords actually have already started coming out. When you see these that almost look like a waterfall at the end, that's what happens. Once you're done, you can unpick this ends here. So they're all different strands, and that's going to give you that full look just hanging down. So you can trim them. And as you can see, we started with pieces that were 14 inches long. And now the shortest part only reaches maybe not even a full foot down. That just shows you how much cord you need to make these. There you go. If you want to try, you can repeat this stitch here. Do the same thing right down the end. All right. Thank you everybody for joining me tonight. I know this can be time consuming, especially when you first start. But once you get the hang of it, it can be fun. And then you have your own macrame piece on the wall. So when you can have people over, which hopefully will be soon, you can let them know that, oh, I made that.
Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome.